Dukascopy TV booth, we're pleased to welcome Drew Neve of FXCM. Drew, hello, welcome into the booth today. Thanks for joining us. So, to get started, what makes FXCM different? How do you position yourself against your competitors?
So a few different ways. One of FXCM is, one of the largest, companies, FX companies in the world. Given ourselves, being the largest is a big advantage, right? We have all the licenses globally. We're positioned in every geography. We have research in 11 different languages, customer service in 23 different languages. You can open an account with us in almost any jurisdiction and take advantage of the different rules. One of our big things is agency execution, so we are not on the other side of people's trades, and that we pride ourselves on that as being the hallmark of FXCM. And the thing is, we're transparent. Big public company, $1.2 billion market cap. You can check all our financials, online. You can check our trading statistics. So whatever we say and claim to customers on the phone, we have to disclose. It's a public company. It's more believable.
Looking back then over the last year, how has your business evolved? What were the main challenges? And looking ahead to the end of 2013, 2014, what are the main challenges going to be?
Yeah, I think that, going back even 3 or 4 years and continuing probably for the next 3 or 4 years is regulation, right? And that's the big challenge. And being regulated in 6 different jurisdictions, there's 6 different headaches, and it gets you today. Governments are on a rampage for increased regulations. Costs are almost doubling every year in terms of regulatory costs. I think that's one of those things that's going to keep on coming. There's no end in sight for this.
You've mentioned transparency already, but what are your thoughts on transparency within the FX world? Are we moving towards an exchange model? Will all brokers be ECM with just one data feed, or will we still be OTC? And if so, then why?
Well, I think there's 2 things. I think there's exchange models won't apply as much in FX, and that, thankfully. But the thing that the FX industry lacks is credibility and trust, and that is a very, very dangerous thing. In other industries that lack credibility and trust, and you can see it in banking, it's one of those things where a crackdown came very harshly on the industry, and we're not a bank. The brokerage industry is not a bank. It does not have a socially useful function, and so if it does not clean up its act from a credibility and trust perspective, its clients won't defend it against new regulation, and at some point that regulation will put it out of business. We've seen that in the US. Went from having 50 competitors to having 8 competitors. By next year, we'll probably have 3 competitors. You've seen that in Japan. We had hundreds of competitors, but today we have dozens of competitors. We're probably going to 20 competitors in a country where 10 million people are trading FX. Those absurdly low numbers because people are not looking at credibility and trust, and I think that the market has to move to an ECN model if it wants to have credibility and trust. No matter what people can say, whatever statistic they can pull out, the moment they say, I am the client's broker, but I am also on the other side of the trade, is the moment there is no trust that you are doing the best job you can, because you don't have the incentive to do it. Even if you're St. Teresa herself and not doing a good job, because you don't have the incentive to do it. And it's one of the things we tell people, that no matter what you think of yourself, it's only what other people think of you. Right? And I think that's what a lot of people in FX don't realize, and that's why I think the market, either clients will demand it, right? And there's a reason why we have 500 million in revenues, every year, is because it is an ECM broker, and other people don't have it because they're not. And I think that that's going to be mandatory, either from a regulatory perspective, from a client perspective, at some point in the near future. And if people don't do it because their clients demand it, they'll have to do it because our regulators, will force them to do it.
What about future strategy then? New products, geographical expansion?
So we have about 20% of our business is CFDs today. Most of that business is still because CFDs don't have a clearing framework and a way to do an ECN for them, so they're mostly a principal business, right? We moved, about half of it is metal, so that's moved to agency, but we are moving now this summer be the first agent in the index and energy CFD business, and we're going to be launching later on in the year DMA single share CFDs, That's kind of the first kind of step in diversifying, the company.
And lastly then, Drew, what are the best trading conditions that you can offer to your clients?
I think what we have is the fact that we do on a typical day about 500,000 transactions. On a very busy day, when the yen is the intervention, do almost 1 million transactions, in our system. If you look at all of our record day in April, we did FXCM, the retail business did about $27 billion, institutional business did about 18, and Lucid did about 60. Overall about $100 billion that day. That is a scale that we have that nobody else, has. I think one of the things we do have is that a lot of people have is say, well, our business can definitely scale because it hasn't broken yet. Our business scales to a very enormous degree, and therefore really stands the test when the markets are most volatile and when it's most important to trade. And because it's an agent, we allow all sorts of algos, all sorts of news trading algos, all sorts of the most sophisticated clients to really come in and take advantage of it. And really, not being on the other side gives us dozens of different solutions for different people to take advantage of the market in a way that other brokers can't or won't, offer.
Drew, thank you very much for your time. That's all we've got for now, but click back for more exclusive interviews here from the iFXEXPO Cyprus. Goodbye for now.